Welcome back, sports gamers. It's the Natural. In the last video, we broke down the ratings of the top wide receivers in Madden 23, joined with 4 verts and 3-time Madden champ Manu. Now we're going to take a look at the sleeper wide receivers, as well as using analytics to show which teams have the best and worst wide receiver cores in Madden 23. All right, let's get right into it. Talk a little bit about some of those hidden gems that you guys kind of identified at players you want to grab kind of in your franchise, or guys you can grab off the bottom of your depth chart and throw them in the third or second wide receiver slot.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call it a hidden gem, right? But I think you brought up a great point about Davante Adams, right? So if I'm looking at Davante Adams, I'm like, okay, could I go get maybe I could get a Deebo Samuel plus a pick? Could I go get a Jamar Chase plus a little something else? I'm very much so in agreement with you on that. I think just some of those high-level guys, quick down step to that next tier below with younger guys, is a place where I'm pretty excited to move down to.
And Deebo Samuel being the strongest receiver in the game at 80 strength.
Yes, we know you were very excited about that earlier.
Deebo.
I think if I'm looking, I think if I'm looking at two, kind of, I'm not going to even call them underrated because I think for their teams, people are going to be well aware they're there. But two pieces I'm looking at, obviously Darnell Mooney and Chicago. They don't have much in Chicago though. So if I could, maybe use Darnell Mooney, or if I could maybe get Darnell Mooney as part of a trade back with maybe a Cooper Kupp or something like that, really attract him at that high 90s, but get Darnell Mooney or maybe a Kadarius Toney out of New York. I think both those would be great options. Or even like a Rondell Moore out of Arizona. Those are all guys I think that they're kind of the same guy, right? Early 20s. Mid 90s speed, high 70s. They're all like, okay, if I could take a really good receiver, down step into that plus something else, I'd feel pretty good about that.
Mono, do you have any sleepers that kind of popped out to you?
I got my eye on Brandon Cooks. This guy, 87 overall, but that overall doesn't always tell the full story because, again, in Madden, they'll factor in stats like awareness, whereas that's not as relevant. So you got to know what is relevant, the relevant stats. And I'm looking at this Brandon Cooks, 87 overall. This guy has 94 speed, and he has all the route running thresholds. So I would consider him, depending on the abilities, if there's a huge downgrade in abilities, maybe it's not worth it. But I would definitely consider trading like one of those top 5 receivers besides Tyreek Hill for like a Brandon Cooks and get another great player to pair with Brandon Cooks.
All right. Is there anyone else that kind of hops out to you receivers-wise?
I would say McLaurin. I know he was in the top 10, but I think he would be my second best receiver behind Hill. And then Robbie Anderson, again, 82 overall. This guy is 94 speed. And I believe Robbie Anderson as well is like a 6'2", 6'3" receiver. So, again, if you combine speed and height, again, that's a scary combination.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson at 94 speed, 82 overall. Those are some good picks. For mine, he's not a sleeper, but I usually overreach to get them. And when I'm doing like a fantasy draft, Marquise Brown is moving on to a new team this year. That offense is going to be explosive. As well as some reason in my fantasy, I always trade for Andy Isabella and build him up one way or the other with 95 speed. All right, so moving on to 4 verts has his ranking. Each team's receiving targets, 3 wide receivers, 2 plus tight end for a franchise. He's looking at franchises being longer term. So could you kind of explain this this first one I'm looking at here, the group score?
Yes. Yeah, so how the score works, right? You're looking at a franchise which is usually about 5 years or so for a lot of people. So you're in that 4 to 5 year range. So you want to make sure you're degrading downward older players and building up younger players, right? So younger players will obviously keep growing. Older players will start dropping. So there's some modifiers applied here that basically improve or drop down different players, as well as a speed modifier just to properly contextualize how important speed is here in Madden. So when you take those and you kind of average those out across the 13 personnel, right, the 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end setup we got going on here, at the top of it, you've got San Francisco kind of leading the way, and everybody's probably like, okay, I know Deebo, and then I know George Kittle, but what else is going on there that's actually pulling them up? And actually, surprisingly enough, it's Brandon Ayuk. He's an 81 overall, but he's only 24 years old. He's got 91 speed, so he's pretty solid there. So he actually gets a pretty good bump up there And then obviously with Debo getting a good modifier there as well as Kittle, it drags them up to the top. The one that I really find fascinating towards the top here is Seattle, right? Like Seattle, we know about Tyler Lockett. He's been around a long time, 93 speed. He's getting up there in age, though, 29 years old. But DK Metcalf, obviously just a monster of a player. But Marquise Goodwin, all right, that's a guy that a lot of people don't even know is in Seattle right now. If you're looking for a sleeper, somebody you can maybe get, he's a little older, 29 years old, but 96 speed. He's still got it. He's still got the juice. They got Noah Fant in the trade from the Broncos. So, I mean, that's a team that's got some weapons and some serious speed on it.
I didn't even know. You're totally right. This team is a track team from Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Marquise Goodwin, and Bo Melton. I'm not even up on who that is, but he's got 94 speed there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a sleeper team as far as speed of receiver. And you have one more here. You speed is king approach offensive weapons where you just sort it by speed, and not surprising.
Yeah, we
Seattle's
flopped it.
#1.
Yeah, we flopped it, but let's talk about the bottom side of that. Tennessee, right? Tennessee is just awful on the weapon side of things, right? They've got Robert Woods, who's not going to impress anybody here at 30 years old, barely can get up and down the field. And then their wide receivers, Treylon Burks from Arkansas, they just drafted this year. Not really super imposing, didn't come out with great overall. Not super fast. And then they've got a slot guy there. I can't remember his name anymore. He's just a dude. And then a tight end that again is just a guy, or Austin Hooper, who used to be a guy and is no longer much of a guy. So really what's kind of fascinating about this list is just that, you've got these these Tennessee Titans that not very impressive. And even Tampa Bay, we talked about it a little bit. Tampa Bay is kind of fascinating to me just because Mike Evans, not a lot of speed there. Cameron Brate, their tight end, slow as dirt. And then you just go through all their weapons. The only really fast weapon they have is Scotty Miller, who really, Manu talks about the thresholds for route running. It's none of those. So he's just a straight line speed guy that, maybe you get lucky and somebody tries to press you or screws up something and he can get over top. So kind of fascinating, just especially Tampa Bay, how, quality they are, but lack much in speed.
Yeah, you can see that with Mike Evans, 92 overall. He's 90 speed. Chris Godwin's only 90 speed. Russell Gage only 90 speed. So Scotty Miller is really the only person that has any big speed on this team. And Rashad Perriman, a shadow of his former Madden self, all the way down to 92 speed after being a burner earlier in his career. All right. Anything you have to say to these analysis that he has there, Manu, that kind of pop out to you?
I will say you brought up an interesting point about Seattle, and I did not realize Seattle was that good of a team. Again, that might be in one of my top 5 teams right now.
Wait, hold on. Not that good of a team. Fast receivers does not make a great team instantly.
No. I mean, from the wide receiver core itself. I mean, there's not going to be another team on defense besides maybe a couple that can keep up with those Seattle receivers. Again, 96, 95, 94 speed. I mean, that's going to be tough to play versus on regs.
Yeah, I'm shocked to see Seattle. I thought for sure Miami, and I'm surprised that KC is still up there, even losing Tyreek Hill, and they're still ranked 3.
Oh. Yeah, they still got a little juice in them there. I think Miami was the team that I thought was going to do it with Waddle and Hill, but Gesicki's not very fast at tight end, and then Albert Wilson's pretty average there as their wide receiver 3.
Yeah, there's some surprising teams there. So as far as skill and speed, San Fran is up there. They're like top 10 as far as speed, and they're #1, right, for ours overall.
Yeah, I mean,
the team's kind of receiving corps in the game.
I think it's Miami. Miami's 2-2, speed and skill. Oh, okay. I think so. That's one that I'm looking to. Seattle's 4 in skill, 1 in speed. Arizona 6-7. I mean, Arizona, Philly have some juice to them, and then KC. I mean, those are probably the 5 I'm really looking at as, okay, these receiving cores are going to carry my team.
Yeah, having this analysis is really great. It breaks things down to allow you to really notice the things you might not have otherwise. So that is it. Big thanks to 4Verts and Manu for joining me today. Be sure to drop a like, subscribe for more ratings analysis just like this here at SGO. We'll catch you guys in the next one. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below what you think about these wide receiver rankings. If you appreciate our content and all the work we do to bring you guys the latest news, tips, and gameplay from your favorite sports games, drop a like, subscribe SGO today. You want to take your game to the next level? Then join SGO Insider.